All right, Chich, we're back, baby.
What's up, bro?
We're back. Episode 15. We're rolling. We're high rolling, baby. And this is going to be a good one, bro. This is one of my favorite people of all time. One of my favorite teammates of all time. Okay. Let me break it down before we get to him because he's going to start yapping away. 2007 Rookie of the Year. Boom. That's in the books. 2008 AL MVP. Bam. That's when I played with him. One of the best in the game. 4-time All-Star. 4-time Gold Glover. 5 seasons in the top 10 in hits. Led the league in hits in 08 with 213. Now, that's tough to do because I raked one year. I had 197. I'm like, who gets 200 hits? This guy does, right? Led the league in doubles with 54 in 08. 8 seasons with at least 33 doubles. That's raking. Led the league in runs in 08 and 09. Never struck out more than 85 times in a game, not in a season. Now, that's big because guys are striking out 200 sometimes a year now, and everyone's like, hey, that's cool. That's not cool. That's not cool. 138 career stolen bases, which was great because you look at this guy, you're like, he's not that fast. No, he was fast. Go check the numbers, okay? Bottom line. And what else? Oh, Petey, I got one other thing. 624 walks, 654 Ks. Only 30 more Ks than walks. My man, one of the greatest second basemen in baseball history, Dustin Pedroia. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What's up, Petey?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Man?
Dustin,
Oh,
by the way, just so you know, Sean was more nervous. We've had Johnny Bench on and stuff. He was so nervous to talk to you today. He's so excited about this.
Well, no, it's more.
Yeah,
it was more
my presence is overwhelming. Let's be honest.
It was more excitement, baby. It was more excitement than anything. Oh, well, hey,
Yeah.
Petey, the greatest thing was, getting on this podcast. Chinch and I, when we started this thing, we were more ready, fire, aim. We're like, we don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna figure it out right as we go.
Yeah.
And today we couldn't get you on, and you did what any good big leaguer would do. You made the adjustment because life's a game of adjustments, and bam, you went from the laptop to the phone.
Yep, iPhone. I don't know how to operate a computer. My Arizona State education is not too sharp. I said, you know what? Screw it. I'll do this on this 1-inch device. So I'm locked in.
Oh, I love it, dude. I love it. So, Petey, talk to me, brother. Man, I mean, you got 3 sons. What? Dylan, Cole, and Brooks, right?
Yep.
And you're home now, Kelly with Kelly and the family. And you're the one guy, bro, that I played with my whole career. I was like, oh my God, this guy lives, breathes baseball. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to Petey when his career's over. So talk to me, man. How's everything going with you right now?
I'm good, man. It's obviously the last few years with my injuries and knee injury and stuff like that, I had a knee replacement. So, I got that taken care of. So now I'm walking around. I'm feeling good. I'm coaching my middle son's baseball team, the Dirt Dogs. We're going to be a 10U team. He's turning 9 next month. We're pounding people. It's textbook. My oldest son, he's playing club basketball and flag football, and then my little guy plays everything: soccer, basketball, baseball, football. So I'm coaching the boys. I'm loving it, man. It's good. I mean, from being away during the season and missing the most important times of your kids' lives. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm enjoying being home and being in their lives and doing all I can to help them out.
What as a coach for your kids? Like, I know I have 2 boys. That my one's in college. My next one's about to go to college. Like, and coaching them all the way up, bro. Like, I got asked to be the hitting coach a couple of times for just a major league team. I was like, I'm a hitting coach for the 12 and under travel all-star team in St. Clair. Like, that's really all I care about. Like, what has been like the coolest thing for you coaching your kids? Like, what being in it with them?
Well, when I got back and started up, it's kind of crazy because right now, everyone's playing these club ball tournament, the tournaments every weekend, and my son's 8 and they're playing big league rules. And I didn't play big league rules until, it's crazy.
So the
I didn't
big
play
leagues.
big league rules until I was on a big field at 13. So I'm trying to teach these kids how to play a major league game at age 8. So obviously I have to have patience. I have to understand that they're young. I want to teach them life lessons, how to be a good teammate, how to respect the game. We were playing a game, we were blowing a team out, and I shut, obviously you shut running down, because I'm coming from, if you do that in the big leagues, your life is on the line. Someone's going to get killed. So, I tell my son, I'm like, hey, I don't coach the bases. I yelled at our first base coach and said, hey, no running. And my son looked at me and says, we're stepping on their throat. Let's go. And I'm like, this guy's nuts. Like, So I tell him, you run right now. I'm going to go over there. I'll tackle you halfway, So I'm trying to teach my 8-year-old son, hey, listen, when you're up big, there's in baseball, there's the sense of sportsmanship of, wait, we're not trying to run it up on anybody. We're trying to respect the game, respect your opponent. And this guy's mindset is, hey, I'm trying to steal. I don't want 4 hits. I want 5. And I'm like, listen, I love it. I had the same mentality, but let's not get anybody killed here. Okay.
That just shows genetics is real, right?
It is. I love it.
The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Yeah.
That brings me to a question. You're coaching, but what is it like? I ask all of the former players this, like, when your kid comes home from like a practice and like they got the elbow up and like his stance is all screwed up, like how does Dustin Pedroia talk to a coach and be like, I got this? Or do you let them be coached?
So here's my philosophy at their age right now. They're too young for me to teach them mechanics, because in 2 years their body's going to be completely different. They're going to be stronger. They're going to be, more physical. So right now, the only thing I preach hitting is hand-eye coordination. Put the ball in play. If the ball is, because it's kind of crazy how good these kids are. If they pitch you away, hit the ball to right field. If they pitch you in, turn on it. Like I don't get involved in the mechanics. Everybody's they're figuring out their swings right now, and I don't want to be the guy that comes in and goes, hey, everybody's got to hit like this and hit like that, because every hitter's different. Case hit different than I did. So there's not one way to hit and be successful. So I tell all my kids, hey, listen, guys, the goal is put the ball in play, hit the ball where it's pitched, and be aggressive. I'm not, trust me, I've seen coaches at this level that are telling the kids to get on the plate and take and trying to win games at 9U. And I'm looking at, I tell all the parents before the year, I said, hey, listen, do we want to win? Hell yeah, we want to win. But I don't care if we win or lose. I go, these kids, I'm preparing them to play baseball as they get older. I'm not the guy that's going to throw a kid 100 pitches. He's going to get his 40 pitches, and he's going to sit on the damn bench all day, because I'm not going to ruin the kid's arm at 9 years old. Like, it is what it is. If you guys got a problem with it, I'll help you find a new damn team. You know what I mean? So, I try to teach them the game and prepare them for the games ahead of them. Nowadays you enter these tournaments and they're giving out rings, and I'm like, listen, that's not a ring, guys. If you want to see rings, come on over to my house. I'll let you polish my tree. Okay? So I'm trying to teach these kids how to play the game the right way and as a team and pick each other up, because you know how it is, Case. When you're young, and hell, I never even got out. And some of these kids now, they get out and they're the end of the world. And I'm trying to tell them, hey, listen, that's when you learn how to get better. How'd you get out? What'd you do wrong? And learn from it. We move on. Like, it's, everyone's going to get out. Trust me, I've gotten out. Hell, I went 0 for 9 in a big league game. Okay. So I know what the hell it takes to get out. They're great kids. They learn. And I love doing it.
Petey, what game was that you went 0 for 9? Are you serious?
Yeah. In 2000, it's funny. I think it was 2009. I went 0 for 9 in Philly. And about 2 weeks, and I didn't strike out in the game. So I'm telling everybody, I'm like, how hard it is to go 0 for 9 in a major league game and not strike out? I mean, it's like they got 50 infielders and outfielders out there just snatching everything up. But about 2 weeks later, I had a streak where I went I think it was 11 for 11 and tied the record. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? How do you go 0 for 9? And then a couple weeks later, you get the most consecutive hits and tie the record in the history of the game. So that's just baseball for you.
No, that's the greatest thing. That's the greatest thing about the game. That's what I tell my kids all the time. I'm like, listen, this is a game of failure. You got to learn how to deal with failure, because you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. So when you're 0 for 9, and I'm sure you had insomnia for 2 nights, oh my God, I can't believe I went 0 for 9, put the ball and play 9 times. But then you go 11 for 11. You just can't explain it. That's why it's the greatest game in the world. You got to just ride the emotional roller coaster. You can't go up and down. You got to be like, okay, I'm 0 for 9, but I bet you didn't know you were going to be 11 for 11 in a week later.
Yeah, no kidding. I tell my son all the time. So there'll be a game where he can only pull the ball. He's like, Dad, I can't hit the ball the other way. And I'm like, Okay, well then guess what? Don't swing at the ball away. Make an adjustment. You know what I mean? So that's how I teach the kids. You know, some days you wake up and guess what? You can only hit ground balls. You have no bat speed. You got to choke up. I go, guys, that's what baseball is all about. It's a game of adjustments. If you're a one-trick pony and you go up there and you're trying to hit bombs every time, guess what? You ain't going to play for very long. I mean, you see it even now in the big leagues. There's guys hitting 200 with 35 home runs. You don't see them doing it for 10 to 15 years, do you? They're out of the game.
Good point. Good point.
You know?
That gets old. That gets old fast. I always say too, the guys, I can't stand when people say, oh, average doesn't matter. There's no average. Average shows me your productivity night in and night out. What's your consistency? Because if a guy's hitting 200 with 35 bombs, hey, when are you hitting those bombs? Is it 8-1 in the eighth, and you got poop soup coming in and you're going deep off them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who are you hitting these homers off of? And what I look at is if a guy's hitting 200, you ain't hitting Mariano Rivera. You ain't hitting Billy Wagner. You're not hitting the big dogs that are coming late in the game. You're an out to those guys. Yeah,
and you're not getting hits. If you hit, usually those guys hitting 200 with 35, they're driving in 50.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I go,
exactly.
You know, some of the guys, my most favorite players, like Mike Lowell one year, I think he drove in 125 and he hit like 19 home runs.
Right.
That's hitting. You know what I mean?
That's hitting.
And I was lucky enough to play with Manny and David and those guys. Those guys, yeah, they were home run hitters. But David and Manny, they had years where they hit 23 home runs and drove in 140. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those guys, they can hit. You know, they're not one-trick ponies. They're walking. You know, that, in my opinion, those are the hitters that I want to, you know, model myself after and get better and learn from them, you know, because they're not just going up there with one plan to hit a home run. They're taking what the pitcher gives them, you know, and that's a part of teaching the game to these young guys that I think a certain generation has gotten away from. And you know, we're going to more statistical, you know, launch angle and all that stuff, which is great. You know, everybody, all the stats and the analytics and stuff, that's all great if you do it and use it the right way. You know what I mean? If you have a really flat swing and you need to get some loft in it, yeah, it's going to make you a better hitter. But if you just go up there and you're a one-trick pony just trying to hit bombs, and I'm 5'8", 175 pounds, guess what? I'm not going to play baseball anymore because I can't do that. So I need to learn how to hit. Everybody's different.
So did you have to make those arguments? Because probably towards the second half of your career was when the analytics started getting jammed down everybody's throats to a degree. Did you have to make those arguments with like the analytics teams and all those guys?
Well, not really, because I mean, when you think about it, a part of the analytics and stats-driven stuff was one of the reasons why I got drafted in the second round. You know, so I put up huge numbers in college. I always had more walks than strikeouts. My on-base percentage was great. I always hit for a high average. I hit for power because I hit a lot of doubles, so my slugging percentage was high. So I had always been a believer in analytics. But then it changed from stat-driven to where, hey, if there's a guy in Double-A, you know, with an OPS of, you know, 860 or whatever, and he's controlling his at-bats, it went away from that to, hey, what's his power numbers? The RBI and runs scored completely went away, which that's what I was good at, producing runs. You know, if I hit at the top lineup, you could book it. I'm going to score in a major league season 160 to 200 runs. I'm going to create that. And that was always my stat that I looked at. Hey, if I'm doing this, my on-base percentage will be where it is. My slugging will be where it is. My average will be where it is. So now they're more looking at what is he doing impacting the ball? Is his exit below this? Is his launch angle this? And that has nothing to do with wins and losses. Yeah, you can hit the ball hard. A lot of guys hit a lot of hard ground balls to second base. And guess what I did? I caught him and threw him out at first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, he hit the guy's like, oh, he hit the ball 117 miles an hour. And I started laughing. I'm like, he was breaking in my glove for previous gold gloves I'm going to win, you moron. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So I'm big into analytics in the right categories because every team needs to be structured around certain things. The winning teams that I've been on has had disciplined hitters, has had hackers. Kevin Youkilis, most disciplined hitter I've ever been around. Mike Lowell, he'd swing at the rosin bag. And then you got he would. And then you have me. I never swung at the first pitch. I worked the counts. And then you got Manny and David who could do whatever the hell they want because guess what? They've earned that right. Then you have JD Drew who worked the count. You had Coco Crisp. He's a hacker. So you have to supplement your team with both if you want to win. And you look at every year teams that win, they have both of those. The Houston Astros, they hack. But then they have some guys that take pitches and walk. The Royals, when they had those couple years, they hacked. Eric Hosmer is swinging at everything. You know what I mean? But then you have, Moose and those guys. Moose will put in a bat on you. He'll take an 8-9 pitch at bat. So you have to have both. And that's where I think the game's kind of gone away from is you're not having both in lineups. You're having one certain area to where everyone's trying to go deep. Everyone's trying to, we're all playing for the 3-run home run. And that's great. But half the time you do it in one game and score 20, because you get a guy out of the bullpen that has a bad game or a starter that's not as good as the frontline guys and you crush them.
That's so good. Dude, I want to go back, PD, because I was the same way you were. I was like, how many runs am I creating? How many runs am I driving in? Or I talked to some of the analytics guys because working on the network, we get all these stats and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And the one argument that bothers me so bad is that RBIs are a team, team created thing. It doesn't really matter, blah, blah, blah. And I had a conversation with Jim Leland one time, and I said, hey, why is Miguel Cabrera winning the Triple Crown? But everyone says Mike Trout should win the MVP. And he said, you know what, Case? This is the reason why. At the end of the game, when the reporters come up to me and they say, hey, Jim, what happened tonight? What do I say? I say, hey, listen, we didn't get the big hit. And what happens when we win the game? Hey, we got the big hit. Miguel Cabrera got the big hit. Can you talk about the difference of guys that can drive in runs and the guys that can't? Because I know for me, when I came up in a big situation with guys on base, the elevation of the stress or anxiety was a little more, and I had to learn to control that to be a good player that drove in runs. Can you talk about the RBIs a little bit and why you think that's an important stat, or if you do?
Yeah, being an RBI guy, it's an art, in my opinion. You have to know situations. You have to know who's pitching to you. For me, I was always, I hit third 1 year in 13. And I hit fourth when David got hurt every now and then, but I hit first or second. I was a table setter. So I knew my role is to score runs. But there were obviously opportunities where, I was fortunate that David hit behind me and he was the RBI guy. But when I got some lefties, late bullpen guys, they kind of pitched around me because of the matchup. So I knew that and I knew who was behind me. So I would take my walk because they're trying to expand, runner on third, one out. They're not going to serve up a lefty's not going to come right into my wheelhouse because it's easier for me to hit him than David. It's harder for lefty. It's tough. So, I knew I could take the walk because David Ortiz he had a knack for an RBI. I mean, like anybody, he'll have lefty and he'll see a shift and he'll stay in there and he will purposely hit a ground ball to short and run a ball through, to win. And that's the game. He would hit a ground ball and get out to get an RBI because he's playing the game. He's looking at the game differently. He's not looking at the game of, oh, my job is to hit home runs. My job is to be a run producer and this and this. No, he's looking at it as if I play within my team's environment and do what I'm asked to do, one, I'll have the numbers, and two, we'll win, and you get more notoriety. So I was fortunate. I played with superstars that had team first mentality. So having a knack for the RBI, I played with so many guys. Mike Lowell was the king of it. He'll hit a ground ball to second base, and it'll say 4-3 in the box score, and you'll look up. Mike will go 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs, and I'm like, what in the Sam hell is this guy doing? And then you look up, and we win the game 5-3. There's just guys. There's a reason why guys win. There's a reason why Mike Lowell won in Florida, won in Boston. They play the game the right way. And now I think you're losing. A lot of guys are told, hey, this is who you are as an offensive player. They're not multi-dimensional. If you're coming up to the minor leagues, they want you to be somebody, right? And once I was lucky when I came up to the minor leagues because I wasn't very fast. I always had great hand-eye. I hit doubles. I could hit home runs. And finally I asked our hitting guy, I said, hey, what kind of offensive player am I? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, am I a power guy? Am I a table setter? Am I a high average guy? So I asked the question. I don't care. I don't fear anything. I have no ego or nothing. And the guy goes, well, you're everything. You have to be everything if you want to be great in the big leagues. So that was my mindset. I'm not a home run hitter. I can be. Am I a doubles guy? Hell yeah. But I could be a singles guy too. You know what I mean? I can hit a ground ball the second anytime I want to drive in a run. And that's what I took pride in doing. And that's what makes you a better offensive player. And I think today's game, it's not like that. It's everybody's going up there with their approach, which is theirs. It's not the team's, and they're trying to do what they do. And that's either leave the yard or walk or whatever it is they choose to do.
Yeah. Let's swing it back. I love this conversation because you talked a little bit about the minor leagues. I want to swing it back to your time at Arizona State with Pat Murphy. Can you talk about, you came in, you weren't drafted out of high school. You go to Arizona State. You come right in, and I think you were Defensive Player of the Year twice, right? College Defensive Player of the Year, playing shortstop, which, obviously that's at a high level. Can you talk about, is that where did Pat Murphy help you with your approach that you took in the pro baseball?
Oh, 100%. When I got to college, I pulled everything. I didn't hit the ball the other way. Like, they could have closed down from middle of the field that way. And Murph just said, hey, listen, man, you're not very big. He changed my career going into my sophomore year. He said, you're not very big. You're not very strong. You have one tool, your hand-eye coordination, and it's elite. He goes, I've never seen anything like it. And I'm like, okay. I go, so what the hell do I do? Because I'm hitting the ball. I'm looking. The third base coaches should be wearing khaki equipment. So he goes, listen, this is what we're going to do. Corner hitting is going to be your specialty. And I go, what the hell is that? And he starts laughing his head. He goes, you're not fast, Dustin. You need to, anything soft, we're going to pull it down the left field line for doubles. I'm like, okay. He goes, anything hard and away from you, you're trying to hit a line drive over first base for a double and maybe a triple. He goes, you got to play to the corners. You're the exact opposite of every major league, every player. Stay to the middle of the field, hit the gap to gap. Murph goes, your hand-eye coordination's so good, I want you target shooting. I want you to hit the ball down each line, and just play the game. And that created my mindset was fastball away, let it travel, shoot it over first base, and that's a double. Your slugging percentage goes up. Your on-base goes up. So is basically him, telling me, hey, you can do all these things that all the scouts and all the analytic people like, but you got to be smart enough to do it your way. You got to create extra bases that way. You're not very fast. He goes, guess what? You got to steal third on a reliever. Like, they want to see 20 stolen bases, right? And I'm like, yeah, they do. I go, how are you going to do it? He goes, when there's a reliever in there, 1-4, 1-5, shuffle off second, go. Wow. Get to third base with less than 2. So pick and choose, play the game right. And when I learned that at 18 years old, then I have 3 years to advance that to when I get drafted. It didn't matter where I got drafted. And I told every team that. I said, I'm going to sign, and I'll be in the big leagues in a year and a half.
That's awesome. That's unbelievable.
And they're looking at me like, what's wrong with you? I said, no. My game's going to play up there. Just give it time. Let me be me, because I had one good tool, hand-eye coordination. I could play defense, but I could hit and place the ball where I wanted. I'll be fine. So it took some time. I took some lumps at the beginning, but Pat Murphy changed a lot of my career.
Going back, Petey, to your junior year when you got drafted. I read an article where you said that, it was the first time you thought about, not being 6'4" and 230, because somebody said you obviously know you're one of the best players in the game, and your eye-hand coordination elite, defensively, everything. And someone said, hey, listen, you might not be a high draft because of your size, right? And was that obviously not the first time you thought about it, but was that a chip on your shoulder you always carried? Like, nah, that doesn't matter.
Well, I didn't think about it until they do those. You have some meetings in the fall with scouts, like the area guys, and you go through the process. And I met with a Padre scout, and he goes, Dustin, we love you. And they were picking, I think they were actually picking first. I knew I was going to go first pick. I mean, let's just be real. So he says to me, he goes, you know what? I tell our people that you're the best player in the country. And if you were 3 or 4 inches taller, you'd be the first pick of the draft. So I remember when he said that to me, the only thing in my brain was, you would pick me first if I was this much taller?
Unreal.
And I said that to him. I said, sir, you know me. I tell everybody the truth. It's no lie. I looked at him and I said, do you mean to tell me you would call your boss and say 100% you're picking Dustin Pedroia first if he's that much taller? And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, I would, because I can justify that pick. And so I'll never forget that. And I took that into that season going, you know what? I don't care where I get drafted. Everyone's going to get drafted before me. I'm going to be better than all of them. And sure enough, that's why I'm so proud of playing with the Red Sox my whole career, because they're the team that drafted me. They're the team that said, and I was their first pick. They didn't pick anybody else before me. So when I got to them, they couldn't wait to pick me. They could give a shit about this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why to play my whole career there, I'm so proud of that, because I didn't want to play for anybody else, because everyone else passed on me. Screw them. You know what I mean? I wanted to do it all for the team that went out on a limb and said, this is our guy.
Yeah, especially for a guy like Theo Epstein. Like, if you're getting drafted by Theo Epstein, you know he's broken down every analytic you can break down. Look at it. So when he's taking you with the first pick, he's not looking at anything but this guy's hand-eye coordination, bat to ball, work ethic. It's at another level. And I think, when I see you getting drafted by Theo, I think, man, this guy obviously knew what he was looking at.
Yeah, he did all right with that one.
He did all right.
Yes.
He did all right. Petey, dude, I've played with a lot of dudes. I played 12 years in the big leagues. I played with some of the greatest players ever. Ken Griffey Jr.'s, David Ortiz's, just down the line, a ton of great players. But, dude, no one that I played with had the mentality you had, bro. I still remember in 2008 when in the locker room, I think it was at spring training, I looked at you, I was like, dude, this guy must be jacked like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, for his size, the way he hits the ball, this guy must be ripped, slapjack diesel. I'm going to get on his weightlifting program. I remember you took off your shirt. I'm like, wow, that's one of the best players in baseball. Next thing you know, you're winning that 2008 MVP. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? But the one thing was, when I heard you talk, bro, if you were on the other side of the room and you heard Dustin Pedroia talk, you'd say, oh, yeah, the guy on the other side of the wall, he's 6'7", 330, strong, most jacked human being that's ever lived. You know what I mean? Where did you get the mentality that you have, bro? Because I know that's what made you one of the greatest players of all time. Where did you get that?
I don't know. I've always had it. I just from playing as a little kid, my goal was always to win a game and have a presence about it and tell everybody I'm going to do it. You basically, you know how it is. Sometimes you talk yourself into things.
Right.
You could be struggling and you get in there and you're like, I'm all right. I'm going to get 3 hits today. And, but you have that feeling deep down where you're like, there ain't no fucking way I'm getting 3 hits. You know what I mean? So I think I'm always very positive, and I don't want anybody to see weakness in me, because you can't with me. I'm not very big. Like you said, with my shirt, I don't look good. I have to have a mindset that I'm not going to lose. It doesn't matter. You might beat me once or twice, but eventually I'm going to chop you down. And that was my mindset, and I had to have it, and that's just who I am.
Oh, my God, dude, this is so good. When you got to the minor leagues, man, and talk about that mentality, because I was reading another article. They drafted you first, and obviously I know you were probably like, let's go, like William Wallace, to the moon, to the big leagues, right?
Yep.
And when you first got drafted, they were like, hey, let's do a little Dustin Pedroia plan. Let's have him come in and, can you talk about that? And then what happened, after they tried to do that to you?
Well, I get drafted. I sign. I tell them I'm not going to short season. I'm like, I don't have time for that. So they sent me to low A. Yeah, they sent me to low A Augusta, and we were in last place. I think we were 12 games out of first. And I get there, and they had Brandon Moss, who was the best player in the league. So I get there, and they say, you can't play for 5 to 6 days because, one, your contract has to go through MLB, which was BS. They thought I wasn't in shape because, obviously, when I take my clothes off, they're like, who in the hell is this guy? So I'm taking BP the first couple days, and I mean, you know me, my BP is not impressive. You know, they hit me ground balls. I'll field every ground ball, I'll throw it to first, right on time. It's not impressive. So our manager's calling, you know, Ben Sherrington, who was our farm director, like, hey man, this guy, like, he ain't ready. You know what I mean? I don't think he's ever going to be ready. And so Ben laughs, you know, he's like, hey, he'll be fine. Don't worry. And so day 3 comes around. I tell the manager, I'm like, hey, listen, Chief, if you don't play me, I'm going home. I'll do something else. So he goes, first off, relax. And I said, no, I'm serious. So he doesn't play me the 3rd day. The 4th day, we go to Asheville, and I literally went in his office, and I grabbed the lineup card, and I said, hey, man, I'm not in it. You might want to change that. It's time. So Thad Epperson, he goes, calls up, you know, Ben, Theo, the whole group, and is like, hey, this guy's borderline insane, and he's threatening to leave if he doesn't play. He goes, he keeps saying I'm wasting his time. He's got other things to do, you know. So finally he puts me in the lineup, and Case, it was a fucking rocket show from the start. I went 4 for 4. I go 4 for 4 with like 4 RBIs, 5 runs scored. I walked. We ended up winning the game. We killed them. We win 9 in a row. We get in 3 brawls. We end up sweeping the number 1 team to tie for first place because they went on a losing streak. So we're in first. The manager comes in. That is like the 12th day I'm there, and he sits me down. He goes, "Hey, you want a beer?" I'm like, "No, I don't want no damn beer. What the hell are you talking about?" You know, we just won a ball game. I ain't drinking no beer. You know me. I don't drink. I don't need.
Yeah, I know.
So he's like, hey man, you know, I was happy to coach you. I didn't think a lot of you at the start. He goes, but you're going to high A. You got no business being here. You were right. And I'm like, you damn right I got no business being here. What the hell's the matter with you? So they moved me and Brandon Moss up together, and we caught up with like David Murphy, Pap, Lester, you know, Manny Del Carmen. So we all came up together, and it was fun.
Yeah, wow. Dude, what a crew you guys had coming up. I remember being with you guys in 08, and I'm like, look at these young guys. These guys are like superstars. Like what an unbelievable job the Red Sox have done at drafting and developing these freaking absolute studs that all came up in the minor leagues together. Petey, can you talk about when you first got to the big leagues in 06? You know, you kind of scuffled out the gates. Like, how did that experience help you in 06 and at the beginning of 07?
Well, I'd never really struggled before. So I get called up, and we had just lost 5 games to the Yankees in Boston. It was a bloodbath. And I met the team in Anaheim, and it was a tough atmosphere. So everyone was, you know, it's kind of the same thing when I signed. You know, I get called up, and everyone's thinking I'm the savior. And it's like I walk in, and I'm not much to look at. I wasn't in big league camp, you know, so it's like kind of tough. You know what I mean? So I wasn't me. I was trying to fit in. You know, I wasn't playing every day because we had a veteran team. We had Mark Loretta, Alex Gonzalez. Mm-hmm. They were both their contracts were up. So, you know, Tito wants to, I mean, he's getting them next year. You know what I mean? He wants to make sure that they get signed or play well and whatnot. So I played about 17 games. I hit like 190, but I think everybody could tell my work ethic, and it was going to happen. So follow forward to 2007, I started slow out of the gate. I think my first 60, 70 at-bats. We were in first place. We were winning. I was playing great. Playing my defense kept me in the big leagues. No doubt. I played defense. I helped win some games playing defense. I was hitting 160. And I remember everyone's getting on me because I was the weakest link on a team that was in first place. And I remember my mindset was, man, if I could just find a way to get it going, we would be unstoppable, you know, because I'm the weakest link and I know I could do it. And we went to Minnesota and we're facing Johan. And I remember, I think I was hitting 160, and then we were going to go to Toronto. We were on a 10-day road trip. So I was getting away from Boston, and, you know, because every at bat that you get out mounts there. You know,
big time.
Yeah. So we're in Minnesota. I'm facing Johan, and I get 3 hits and 2 walks in the game.
Wow.
So I go from 170 to 189, 190. the next day we face Sidney Ponson. I get 3 more. So I get to 210, and I'm like, all right, I see a light. Like, you know what I mean? And then we end up going to Toronto, and I hit my first home run. I think it was Victor Zambrano. I took him deep, had 2 more hits. Next day, I think we were Tomaoka. I had 3. So by the time I got back to Fenway after that 10-day road trip, I was at 270.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So I got back, and I was like, this ain't the asshole you were booing 10 days ago, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, Daddy's here, and Daddy ain't going away.
Dustin,
that's in my mindset. That's what I was thinking. So it just takes 1 week, something to click for you to gain confidence, because everybody didn't have confidence in me. I was dog shit. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I was trying to hit home runs every swing. You see the monster, and you're like, that you could spit and touch it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I had to get back to Pat Murphy's corner hitting, get back to being who I am. I'm not everybody else. I'm not strong. I can't backspin a ball out of the stadium. That's not me. Like, be who I am. And they'll love me when they find that out, but I just got to find a way to get to that point. Because I had, obviously my minor league success spoke for itself, but I had my coaches there going, hey, leave him alone. He's going to find a way. Trust me. And when he does, you're not even going to believe what he can do. So Tito trusted our minor league. He trusted Ron Johnson. He trusted Todd Klaus, Epi. He trusted the managers I played for that he's going to do it.
That's awesome. Dustin, was there, during those struggling times, was there a vet or one of the vets who did kind of help you through it, or did you just internalize it and go, I don't want to talk to anybody until I start hitting?
No, Alex Cora and Mike Lowell were huge in helping me out, and AC was playing second over me when I was struggling. And he, his job at that time was to help teach me how to be a big leaguer. Theo signed him to a 2-year deal. Alex tells me, oh, dude, they overpaid me to do this job. And he goes, you know what, I'm going to do it. And he helped me every step of the way. And I mean, we're family. I mean, obviously everyone knows that, how close we were then and are now. But when I was tough, everybody thought I stunk except Alex. And I know at the time it was deep in him. He's like, I don't know if this kid's going to do it. You know what I mean? But I never saw that in him. I mean, now we can talk about it, and he's like, hey, what the hell were you doing? But he never wavered. He said, hey, listen, you're the second baseman. You're going to be he kept positive stuff, teaching me the game. Hey, when you're not playing, you're watching for this. You're looking for that. So that struggle and that first, month and a half, it helped me learn the game, but I wasn't the one that was going to sit back and feel sorry for myself. There ain't no way in hell that's going to happen. I'm going to listen to the guy that's been there for 10 years and go, oh my God, if I want to do this, I need to learn from him. He's not trying to take my job. He's trying to help me win a job. It doesn't matter what team you're playing for. You want to be a big leaguer for a long time. And I got to learn from the best guys doing it.
That's such a great story, because I felt the same way coming up, like a guy like Barry Larkin or Greg Vaughn, guys that kind of taught me the game and sometimes believed in me more than I believed in myself.
Yeah.
And, and that's a great lesson. Like, did you find yourself as you moved on, Petey, like, did you find yourself reacting the same way to some young players?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but towards the end of after we won in 13, in 14, we brought a lot of our young guys up. Mookie, Jackie, Middlebrooks was there. Vasquez came up, Bogarts. So we had transitioned really fast in from winning the World Series to, hey, we're going to give, 6 position players an opportunity. And it's tough when you do, you can mix in 1 or 2 and still be fine. But when you're adding 5, 6 young guys, you're going to take some lumps. And I knew that. So my job was to lead and be there for them. And you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have growing pains. You're going to do stupid. You're going to miss a cutoff and have the guy go, home to second and double play's not in order. That's going to happen. So you got to prepare for it. So I had patience like Alex, when things did happen. I'm not going to blow anybody up. after the game, I'm going to call, Mookie or Jackie over and go, hey, we got to keep the double play in order because, obviously in big leagues, it's hard to get out of innings. So, it gives us more of a chance to get out of one if we have the double play in order, especially if you're not 100% sure you're going to throw the guy out. You know what I mean? You got to throw through the cutoff, just things like that. And I think they appreciated the way I went about it. I'm not during the game going to run out there and start screaming at, Jackie. That guy is the hardest working guy on the planet. You know what I mean? It's not like, Jackie, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? The guy's diving off the wall like a pinball, catching balls like, his effort you love, and you can see, and I can see with Bogarts, he would, be slower to plays than other. And I'm like, Bo, you got to give me the ball, just things like that. So you take your lumps with them, and they appreciate it in the long run. And then you look at 2018, all those guys that we took the lumps together were there. The only shitty part is I couldn't be out there with them because got my knee blown out. You know what I
mean? Yeah, that sucked.
But I could see a part of me in every one of their games, and it's just like what Alex did to me. If you look at, I stole 100, like you said, 38 or 40 bases, whatever the hell it was, and with my speed, and that's Alex teaching me when to go, when not to go, how to get jumps, things like that. So he appreciated it. Every success that I had, he was a part of.
Talk about learning the game. Like I know you talked about Alex and Mikey Lowell and all these great guys that taught you the game, that you taught some of the younger guys the game. I saw your relationship with Terry Francona when I was there. You would show up like 8 hours early to play cribbage with the guy. I'm like, hey, the only two guys in the clubhouse are Dustin Pedroia and Terry Francona freaking playing cribbage in Tito's office. And like they're loving it. And then you'd go play that. You'd go take 7 hours of grounders. I'm like, how's this guy freaking ready for the game? He played cribbage for an hour with Tito and took 7 hours of grounders, and he's still raking, Can you talk about Tito and your relationship with him and what he meant for your career?
Oh, he was the best. He gave me the freedom to play. And I think that's, as a young player, that's all you want. You don't want to have to look over your shoulder and go, gosh, if I mess up, am I getting sent out, or am I not playing, or, and to his credit, I didn't do a lot of stupid things. Fundamentally, I was always sound to where defensively you were never going to have a problem. Offensively, I understood my role and understood the situations of the game. If we're down 2 in the ninth and it's 3-1 on me, I'm not going to swing 3-run because 3-2, I'm going to get the same pitch and I'm going to get, you know what I mean? He might throw a ball 3-1 and I walk and the tying run comes to the plate. So I had a good sense of how to play the game. So I think that helped Tito go, hey, I'm going to give this kid the freedom to just go be him, play the game, and not worry about it. And that's all you can ask for. He would be open with communication. Hey, let me know when you need a day off, which, I never said that. So every now and then he could tell and he'd go, hey, listen, man, you're not playing tomorrow. We got an off day Monday. You're done. Don't put your cleats on. And I was always still the first one in the damn dugout like an idiot. But
I know.
I think that our relationship, it was perfect, man. And our sense of humor's, we're right on the same page. When times were tough, he'd crack a joke and I'd, smart back and things like that to keep the atmosphere loose. Because in that environment, it's tough. You can have, we've been through a lot. Fans get on you, everyone gets on you. So you have to keep the mood and the atmosphere, fun, positive. Obviously the goal is to win the championship, win the World Series every year. And that can wear on you. It's not like you can ever have it down here in Boston. Your life's on the line. So
it's so true.
We knew that, and it was a perfect match. And I owe everything to him. He was everything to me.
Dude, looking at how he impacted you, I know I have had a lot of great managers that have impacted me, Tito being one of them. Would Dustin Pedroia ever want to manage one day?
Oh, yeah, I want to. Not now. My kids, my youngest is 7, so he's got 10 more years until he goes off to college, and then I want to get into it. So I basically look at it as I got 10 years to study everything there possibly is. So when I start up, it's go time. Because me, I don't like to lose. So I definitely want to. It's just a matter of time. And I watch I still watch all the time and stay up to date on everything. And still in touch with the front office. They want me to have some type of role. So I'm sure we'll work that out soon with the Red Sox. So, it's coming.
Do that, bro. It's the easiest job ever. The assistant. Well, what's Pedroia doing? He's assistant to the GM. Like, what are you kidding me? He just does basically whatever he wants to do. It's the greatest job ever, Dude, you talk about playing in Boston, because I played there, and, it's one of the greatest places to play when you're doing well, and probably one of the toughest places to play when you're not, especially as a team. And when you guys won the champ, obviously the 04 team kind of broke the ice and, broke curse and everything. But bam, later, you're a huge part of that 07 team, winning the whole thing. You win the Rookie of the Year. You dominate in the postseason. What was that like, man, winning that championship and then the fan base, the relationship with you and the fan base from then on?
I didn't know any better my rookie, in 2007. That was the goal, and it was beat into you by the veteran guys, by Tito, and we accomplished that. So in my mind, I'm like, we have to do that. That's the plan. Right. It should be like this every year. If we don't do this, we didn't do our job. So that helped me as a young player of, you never want to play a big league game that's not meaningful. And I was lucky that we always had teams that could compete. Apart from a couple years where, you knew we had young players, but if our young players would have, take a huge step, we'd have been right there. But, people come along at different paces, so there was a couple years where we didn't not have a chance, but we were right there. But we were always competing for a title, and that's what you want, and every year I showed up to Fort Myers, and it was like, this is all right. This is the year we're winning the World Series. And obviously you have to have luck. You have to be healthy. A lot of things have to go right. So, some years you like 2008, that was so tough, and we would have done it if not for injuries. We had our pitchers went down late in the year. Beckett wasn't healthy. Lester was pitching with a dang oblique deal, and I don't even know how the hell he was throwing the ball. It was just one of those things, and we took the Rays to Game 7, and JD's getting rung up on pitch outs. Jesus Christmas. And it took a big home run to beat us off Lester. I think, remember, Willie Ibar hit that home run.
Yep.
We lose Game 7. So,
you
have to have breaks.
What pissed me off about that year, bro, is first off, reading Tito's book, he says, all those teams, the 04 team was great, 07. He said the most talented team might have been the 08 team. And that was the best team I probably ever played on. And I look back at my career, it was my last year of my career, I'm like, man. And what drove me crazy is Longoria has 5 homers. BJ Upton, and they had the series of their life, and we still lost in Game 7. It still bothers me. And you let off Game 7. You let off the game with a homer, right? You took Garza deep.
Yeah.
First at bat. I'm like, oh, dude, here we go. We're going to get to the World Series. Because I really felt like that team could have won it all. But, it still bothers me. Even though I came off the bench and punched out, I got in there against Edwin Jackson, I think. Tito's like, get up there. 1, 2, 3. See you later. Hey, glad I contributed to that team. Clean it up,
I love it. I love it.
Thank God. So, Petey, when I look back too, I like to think back in my career at some of the guys that I owned, or some of the guys that owned me. So I want to start there with, who's one guy that you when you looked at the rotation, you go, man, I'm excited to face that guy.
I hit Scott Kazmir real good. I crushed him. Yeah. When he was throwing fuzz, and he would try to come in, and it was right into my bat path. And I think I hit 6 something off him with a lot of it back. I hit 3 or 4 homers off him in the playoffs, 3 homers off him in the playoffs. You have those guys that his stuff lines up with my bat path. It was just one of those things. Who else did I hit good? I can tell you who I didn't hit good. Dan Herron was my guy that I couldn't get a hit off of. He threw me those splits right down the middle, and I hit a grounder to short every time. It was like I was using a K100 up there, just hitting a damn fungo to short. Whoever their shortstop was like, I don't need any ground balls today. Dustin Pedroia is going to give me all of them. Yeah.
Dustin,
Oh,
I got a
man.
question, and we were talking about this before we came on. You know, your ability to look the media in the eye, to look managers in the eye, to look people in the eye, and say what's on your mind without having any concerns. But you never said anything that was wrong. But where did that come from in you being so honest and being able to almost control the media in a way where they couldn't do anything to you because you were so honest with them?
I mean, I just, well, once I got to Boston, you know, they run you through those media training stuff. And I remember one of the first things, you know, with obviously they teach you, you know, when you struggle, just own up to it, be honest, you know, and I figured, you know what? Okay. You know, I'll be who I am. You know what I mean? I'm never going to back down from, you know, a situation where I'm struggling or, you know, this or that. You know, you have to respect the game. You know, it is what it is. You know, I love baseball and, you know, everybody has a job to do. So when they ask you a question, I'll give them an answer. You know, you don't have to like it, you know, and that's, it is what it is. I think people appreciate that more of, you know, accountability. You know, when they ask you a question, you know, I just tell them an answer. You know, sometimes it's hard, you know, but, you know, it is what it is. And I was lucky enough that method worked in Boston. I mean, everybody knew I was going to be at my locker, win, lose, or draw, you know, and we're going to talk about, you know, how shitty I am or how great I am. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. And that's the way I looked at it.
Well, one of the greatest quotes ever was when you were like, "Oh, what do you mean? Struggling? Or about to wait till you see the Laser Show about to happen." Like, I bet, you know, I'm like, this guy's a maniac. I wasn't even playing with him. I was like, who's this guy? This guy's a freaking maniac. You know what I mean? So, it's unbelievable. Who were the guys when you were growing up, bro? Who were the guys that were your idols? Who were the players that you modeled your game after?
So I was a Giants fan, and that was they had, you know, Brett Butler, Robbie Thompson, Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, Candy Maldonado, you know, and they were, you know, they obviously always won, but they played a certain style. I mean, Will Clark, he's crazy. I mean, he's taking the extra base, popping up, going nuts. You know, Kevin Mitchell's barehanding balls out in the outfield. You know, Robbie Thompson's moving a runner over. Brett Butler's bunting. Like, you know, so that's what I watched. And you know how it is when you watch, you know, your team growing up, you know, you try to model yourself after those guys.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought how you played baseball, because that was the only team you could watch. You know, the A's weren't, you know, I didn't have them on television, and they had the Bash Brothers. So I'm sure if they were on the TV network that I was watching, I'd be trying to hit bombs. You know what I mean? But, you know, maybe I lucked out, and, you know, I got to watch Matt Williams play third base, you know, and there was more, it's not, their style was more blue collar. You know, they just had to play play their game offensively different than the A's. You know, the A's had Ricky, which Ricky's hitting leadoff bombs. Ricky's stealing, you know, 2 bases, and then McGuire's hitting a homer. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I got to watch a different style from the Giants,
Right.
you know, to where Will Clark, he's hitting 300 with 16 homers and driving in 100 from the 3-hole and taking, you know, it's a different brand. So I think I watched that, and you learn the game if you sit down and actually watch it. You know what I mean? So, you know, that helped me out.
It's funny you say that, bro, because Will Clark was literally my idol growing up. Like, I wanted to be Will Clark. I even watching the College World Series back when he was with Mississippi State. I'm like, he'd scored. He'd always hit the double. He'd give it the pop up, you know, the pop up slap. And I'm like, I love this guy. He's a freaking maniac, you know. So it's funny you say that about the Giants, because I love those teams a ton. I got one more question about Fenway Park, because I never figured this out. I don't know if you remember this story. I remember one day we're playing the Orioles. I come up. Boom, I rocket one off the monster. I go for 2. I'm like, yeah, that's 2, baby. That's in the gap. I go for 2. It ricochets off. Boom, I get thrown out a second. I'm like, what the hell? I'm out by 20 feet, right? I slide in. So I'm like, that's unbelievable. Then the next day, I crush one to right center. I thought it was a homer, a little pimp job out the box, a little bit of hip flexor. I'm slow with a bad hip flexor and a pimp job. That's not a good combination. I'm rounding first. I'm rounding first base. And I'm going to second. All of a sudden, ball hits the top of the fence, comes back. Nick Markakis, bare hand throwing it. And I'm like, I'm rounding second, just bad running technique. I'm like, oh my God, it's so bad. And I'm like, we got a situation here. Markakis throws me out from right center, right? And I come in, and I don't remember, but I come out. I put my helmet down. I'm sitting on the bench. The crowd's like, "You suck. You're slow. Don't go to second." I'm like, I know. So Tito's like, "Hey, Case, can I talk to you real quick?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, Tito?" He's like, "Hey, listen, man, I don't know what's going on." He's like, "Hey, is there any chance you might have polio?" Yeah.
Oh, that's the best.
It was unbelievable. So you, a guy that's played in Boston, whatever, 14 years, can you talk about when did you go to, like, when do you go to second when you hit off the monster? How do you have the monster read?
So basically, my earlier years, I tested everything. You know what I mean? And I knew as a second baseman, if it's going to be bang, bang, it's really hard because you don't see where the runner is to put a tag on. So I knew if the play was going to be close, I would go. I'd be aggressive. But I knew if it was a risk, I'd stop. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But that takes time to learn because you know how it is in baseball. When you hit a double, you want a double.
Right.
You know what I mean? You've earned it. But there's times where you're like, especially at Fenway, you can hit a home run to left field and it could be a single. So
right.
you have to understand that in the end, it's going to take away some home runs and doubles. It's going to give you a lot more singles, even in right field and in left field. You can hit a fly ball down the left field line that's a can of corn in every other stadium, and it hips the wall for a single or a double. You get one, right? And then you could flip a fly ball into right because it's 390 feet to dead right. It's a bomb. And the right fielder could be playing, doubles, and you get a single. It'll give. So you have to mentally prepare. Hey, listen, some years I'm going to get 10 extra hits, and it's going to take away 6. You know what I mean? So you just have to mentally prepare. Hey, it's the ballpark we play in. You have to embrace it and play the game right. Be smart. But doing it for 1 year, hell yeah, you're going to get thrown out at second because you get fired up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it takes time.
I'm like, every other ball I've hit in the gap there is a double. Like, I just go, and I'm like, why am I out by 20 feet? You know what I mean? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yep. All right, Petey, the last thing is, bro, we play this game called 9 and 90. Chinch, tell Petey how it's played.
All right, it's very simple. We never know how to explain this right, but very simple. I'll just ask questions. Is it this or that question? Sean answers first, and then you just pick it up right on the back end. Or put stupid music on in the back. All right, ready, guys? Ready, Case? Start now?
Yeah, let's do it.
First one, what's worse, being tired or being hungry?
Oh, being hungry is way worse. Way worse.
Steve.
Hungry.
Okay. Worst friend, one who never offers to pay or one who always cancels at the last minute?
Oh, man. One who cancels. There's nothing worse than, like, you're like, hey, bro, we going to lunch? They're like, no, I can't go again. I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah, I'd probably the same.
Okay. You need one RBI. Manny or Poppy?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Poppy.
Poppy.
Yeah, I'm going David too. 100%.
Right. It's a little lighter. Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore.
Happy.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy!
Yeah.
All right. I think this is an easy one. Fireworks show or laser show?
I'm going to go with the Dustin Pedroia laser show.
Laser show.
Regular laser show.
That's an easy one. All right, your next life. You could come back as a cheetah or an eagle. Which one, Sean?
Oh, man, I'm going to have to come back as an eagle because just to be able to fly would be unbelievable. To be able to run like a cheetah, that would be fun, but flying like an eagle would be awesome.
All right.
Yeah, I'm scared of heights. I'm going cheetah. 100%.
All right. Duck boats, overrated or underrated?
Duck boats. Duck boats are overrated.
Underrated. They're the best.
Yeah. All right. Wash the dishes immediately or wait until the sink is full?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to wash the dishes immediately, guy. I can't stand the sink being full. It's just, I start yelling at the kids. I'm like, let's go, kids. Freaking do your chores and get the dishes in the dishwasher.
Yep, I'm dishwasher. So nothing's getting stacked up. I don't put them away right away. I just throw them in there, and the kids will take them out of the dishwasher in a couple days.
Beautiful. All right, last one. A movie made about your life. Who's playing you, Matt Damon or Ben Affleck?
Probably Ben Affleck. He'd play me.
Okay.
Wow.
Because he was Batman.
Yeah, I'll probably go Matt Damon.
Nice.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, if we put a movie together about Sean Casey and Dustin, it could be Affleck and Damon playing you guys.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Thanks, man.
That sounds perfect. Hey,
Love
Petey,
it.
thanks. Petey, thank you so much, brother.
You got it.
Bro, it's so good to see you, dude. And I can't wait to see you here soon. Hopefully, wherever. We'll cross, our paths will cross. But thanks a lot, man. Thanks for making
Thanks
the
so much,
adjustment,
man.
too, bro.
All right, you got it, Rich.
I knew you would.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
bro. Love
You're
you,
the
brother.
best, man.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks,
All
Petey.
right,
You're the
see you,
best. Okay, man.
So awesome, man.
Dude.
I get like when he started like grinding his teeth, talking like taking back, like I don't know. I guess I have a similar personality to that where I was getting excited. Like how about if he becomes a manager one day? How great of a manager will he be?
Dude, he will be the best manager, man. He has to. Like the game needs Dustin Pedroia. Like
Yes.
I know, and I love what he's saying though. He's got his 3 kids. His 3 sons. You got to raise your kids. Just same way with me. You got to raise your kids. But Petey's still young. What is he? 30, about to be 38 years old.
Yeah.
So I think
Plenty of time.
he's still going to be young when he has a chance to manage when his kids are gone. So the game needs Dustin Pedroia, and I hope he gets in there with the assistant GM job or whatever,
That'd be awesome.
or assistant to the GM or whatever that is. You know what I mean? So he's so great, man. You know what I love about Petey? Like when he talks, his passion for the game, like probably the greatest IQ I ever played with. A guy that just like when he talks about the cutoffs, the relays, he knew where to go with the ball like no one else I'd ever seen. He was thinking 4, 5, 6 steps ahead of people, especially defensively. And, it was something special. But when you hear him talk about his story, just about some of the, chips he had on his shoulder, about, what people said, he's too small, too this. No, he was like, no, I'm a killer. And when I get up across those white lines, no one's stopping me. And I just, you just love to look back at Dustin Pedroia's career and go, that guy did it right. And that guy was one of the best teammates ever. 3 championships for the Red Sox. Just the ultimate gamer, man. I think of Pete Rose, as far as on the baseball field, how he played the game. I think of Dustin Pedroia, like that Pete Rose comp.
Right. And think about it this way. Baseball, I put this more difficult than any other sport. Like for him to walk into his manager's office and go, I'm playing today, and then get 4 hits and back it up. That's like, that's not, I don't think most people know how crazy that is to do something like that because you're at the mercy of the game. But the guy has such balls that
the game,
he was going to get 4 hits in that game, it sounds like.
There's no doubt. The game was so hard. His eye-hand coordination was so elite, though, that I think his belief in himself plus that, made him one of the best second baseman of all time. So, yeah, you're right. To just tell the coach, I want to get in, 4 2 doubles. A few weeks later, he's in high A ball. It's unbelievable. They're stories of a legend. The legend of Dustin Pedroia. It's just really, really awesome, man.
The polio story is a great story too, by the way.
He was there for it. It was there. Like I think you might have heard Tito tell me. I was like, oh man, it's a tough break. I was like, I don't know when to run in this park. It's freaking the dimensions are nothing I've ever seen before.
That's amazing.
What a place to play though, man. To play in Boston.
Imagine.
When I talk about Pedroia playing 14 years in Boston, to play in Boston just that 1 year for me is one of the greatest years of my career because just the fans are unbelievable. They're so passionate. It's packed every night. They're all in, and as a player, you feel that every night, and you're all in. And so, like when you talk about Petey and Big Papi and Pedro and man, all those guys, even Millar being there, those guys that played all those years, man, like nothing better than playing in front of that Boston crowd.
Yeah, and when you're going well, they'll treat you like gods. Right?
Dude, you're royalty, bro. You're royalty. Thank God I didn't struggle that year. I think I was hitting like
you wouldn't be able to.
I was hitting 350. I was like, please don't let me struggle here in Boston. Please just let me keep raking,
Anyway, well, that was awesome, man. He's a good friend of yours, and that was so cool getting to talk to him a little bit. Everything you hear about him and everything that people respect about him, I just saw it in this one little hour just because of how awesome he was. So thanks for setting that up, man.
One of the best teammates I ever had, man. Just a great dude, great friend, awesome, good people.
Great stuff, man. As always.
All right, Chit,
Love doing
you're
this.
good people too, bro. Yeah, I love it too, man.
You
Thank
too.
you.
I love it.
Thanks. You're good people too, bro. One of my best friends. I love you.
Yeah, bro.
And I want to tell everyone out there, man, that listens to us and tunes into the mayor's office, keep joining us, man. Come on the ride with us. We're having just as much fun as you guys are. I mean, we enjoy doing this every week. So everyone that's on finding us on Apple or Spotify, YouTube, you can join us on nofilter.net here, to join us live. And it's just it's a lot of fun. So thanks a lot. We're grateful for you guys, Chits. I'm grateful for you, brother. I will see you next week, my man. Love you.
All right, bro. Love you too.
All right.